Hello and welcome to our virtual Whistle Stop Tour series. My name is Nikki Johnson, Executive Director of the North Carolina Small Grain Growers. And on behalf of our association, we are so sorry that you can't be in the field with us this year to see the research being done. But we thought that these videos would be a good alternative to still get you the information you need. Each year, your assessment dollars help fund these research videos. So it's so important that we get you the information that you need on your farm and to help you in any way we can. So we hope you enjoy these small but yet informative and educational videos. Each week they'll be published in our Wheat Beat. They'll be loaded onto our website at ncwheat.com and uploaded to our NC Small Grain Growers Facebook page. So be sure to check it out. Let us know what you think, and if there's anything that we can do to help in your area, please let us know. Please stay home, stay safe, and stay healthy. We hope to see you again real soon.
Welcome to Caldwell County. I'm the County Extension Director and excited to have you out here today for our virtual whistle stop tour. Caldwell County has some pretty unique things. One of it is we have the greatest elevation change of any county in the state. We go all the way from the Catawba River, which is about 600 feet in elevation, up to the top of Grandfather Mountain, which is just shy of 6,000 feet. But most of the farming gets done in the Piedmont. This is a typical rolling Piedmont field behind me, and I'm really excited about what we're going to learn today, and so look forward to you joining in and learning a little bit about wheat. Caldwell County actually has a diverse agricultural portfolio. The number one income for the county is actually field-grown nursery stock. Those are the bald and burlap trees that you see at nursery supply centers. And there's a lot of that grown. A lot of it actually is wholesale, so it ends up getting shipped north from Caldwell County, northeast. It's where most of it goes. But there's also a significant row crop production, so that's corn, soybeans, and wheat. We do have some industrial hemp. I think we've got 13 registered growers. Of course, with both Tyson and Case Farms, there's chicken production. As well as, of course, backyard production. There's a lot of cow-calf operations and hay associated with that as well. We actually have a sturgeon farm, so we have commercial sturgeon production. That's actually a fish where the eggs are harvested for caviar. And that's, if you like caviar, you can come right to Caldwell County and get your fill. But yeah, there's a lot of things that are grown here, a lot of production. We do have some wineries as well, and just a lot of things going on in Caldwell County on the agricultural front.
All right, good morning everyone. Welcome to our farm. This is Rock Creek Cattle and Grain. We're located in Caldwell County, North Carolina. It's in the western part of North Carolina. As you can see, you can see that we've got some hills around here, some mountains close by. We've been growing wheat for about 20 years, started in the early 2000s. Prior to then, we just had beef cows, raised hay. Then we got into wheat and soybeans in the early 2000s. And since then, we've incorporated corn into our crops that we grow. So we do a rotation between corn one year and then wheat and soybeans the next. We typically raise about 150 acres of wheat. In the other parts of our farm where we plant corn, we'll do around 150 acres of corn, maybe a little less, and then the rest we'll put in early beans. So on a typical year, we may have 200 acres of beans and 150 acres of corn and around 150 acres of wheat. So the wheat that we have here, this is a USG variety, 3536. We try to raise a milling wheat quality. We take it to Renwood Mills in Newton, North Carolina. It's where we try to sell it. Some years we may have bad years. The wheat quality is not as good as what we would like, so we would have to turn that into feed wheat. But on typical years, we are able to sell for milling wheat. Everything in Caldwell County, like I said before, is rolling hills. We do have some bottomlands that can be plowed, but we use our operation is a no-till operation, so everything that we do from wheat, corn, and soybeans is all no-tilled. We use cover crops in the winter to try to keep the soil and hold the nutrients in the soil, and it does. We have found in the last couple of years it's really helped us on soil erosion in the winter times. When last couple of years we've been getting we've had several wet winters, and just having that cover crop there has been performing very well, holding the residue that's there and the soil that's there. So we've seen good results out of our cover crop.
At this location, we're looking at two different wheat varieties that the grower planted, USG 3536 and AgriMax 495. These are both excellent varieties that the grower chose based off their yield and other agronomic characteristics. So let's go through each one of them and describe how they're different, how they're similar, and how the grower may have come about making these variety decisions. USG 3536 was #1 in the 3-year table for the OVT, so it's a very high yielding wheat. AgriMax 495 came into the OVT for the first time last year, just below the top yield group statewide for yield. So both have excellent yield potentials. Both are on varieties, and both are in that medium to medium early category for maturity. Now, we don't talk about maturity in terms of early, medium, and late anymore. We've started talking about maturity in terms of GDUs to heading. For USG 3536, we have this number because it's been in the test for 3 years. It's 2,410 units, growing degree units to heading. We don't have that number yet for AgriMax 495, but we'd expect it to be in that similar category to USG 3536. If you look at height, there's differences between these two different varieties. USG 3536 gets a lot taller than AgriMax 495. It also has more potential for lodging than AgriMax 495. We have some data from Union County back in 2019 where we saw more lodging in the USG 3536 plots than we saw in the AgriMax 495 plots. Another difference between these two varieties is its test weight. AgriMax 495 had excellent test weight last year, well above our average for statewide, while USG 3536 had average test weight from our data. Now, test weight is a function of the environment and also the weather that we have for that year, so it can vary a little bit from year to year. Another similarity between these two varieties, both have excellent disease packages. Both are very good against stripe rust and against head scab. So good choices for disease tolerance in your field. The other main difference we want to talk about is quality. We had the opportunity last year, thanks to a partnership with the Small Grains Extension Program and thanks to the funding provided by the Small Grain Growers Association, to purchase equipment for a grain analysis lab. Using that equipment in the grain analysis lab, we were able to analyze quality from plots both at Union County and Lenoir counties last year and identify lines that had higher quality metrics in falling number of % protein than other lines in the test. If you look at these two specific lines, 3536 and 495, 495 had a lot higher falling number from Union County last year than 3536. Both had similar protein levels when you looked at data from Union County last year. So overall, 495, a little bit better quality potential, a little bit shorter stature, so you're not going to get the straw off of it that you would off of 3536, but both have excellent potential for both yield and agronomic characteristics.
We're out in Caldwell County today, and I've made yield estimations for the two varieties that we've already discussed. USG 3536 is planted down the hill and also up to about halfway through the field you see behind me, and then above that on the top of the hill and further on is AgriMax 495. For the USG 3536, yield estimation came out just under the 70 bushel mark, and that is about the farm average here for this grower in any given year. That's about the top end that they're going to make. And if we go up to the top of the hill to the AgriMax 495, actually found yield estimation in that area to be at 91 bushels per acre. With yield estimations, we have to consider more than just the number of heads and the number of kernels that we count in that square foot. We have to consider how much nitrogen the farmer has applied and whether or not the wheat can reach its true yield potential with that amount of nitrogen on that given farm. In this case, we have a wide variation between the two yield estimations. Only 70 bushel for the USG 3536 and as much as 91 bushels for the AgriMax 495. However, the farmer here has only applied 110 pounds of nitrogen per acre across the entire season. This means that he's only really going to be able to hit that 70 bushel mark, even though he has enough heads and enough kernels in place in the AgriMax 495 to make more than that. Had he applied a higher nitrogen rate in that area where he was more heavily tillered, he could realize that yield potential. This is the USG 3536, and we're right on the edge of the field, so sometimes you will see a lower nitrogen level in that area or thinner wheat if it's missed in the top dress. But this looks pretty good, and I wanted to take a minute to talk about the difference between spring and fall tillers and what that means for grain fill throughout the end of the season. So you can see different size heads in this particular area. These that are way up at the top and look longer and fuller, those are your fall tillers, the heads that are made by your fall tillers, and we can count them up. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sets of florets on each side of that grain head, which is going to fill out to make somewhere between 28 to 30 grains on that head. And if we look at these smaller ones down here in the lower canopy, typically those are your spring tillers. You can also usually tell them because they have a much thinner stem than the fall tillers. And then if we count these up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, you're looking at somewhere between 15 and maybe 20 grains on these heads. A lot of times they'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of 1/3 to 1/2 the number of grains that you would see on a fall tiller. So what are you making yield with? You want to make fall tillers so that you can make excellent yield. Spring tillers can add to yield, but they also add to the number of heads that that plant has to fill during the grain fill period. And that's fine if you have enough nitrogen underneath the crop to support both fall and spring tillers. But remember that that plant is going to try and fill every grain that's viable. It's not going to abort individual grains based on how much nitrogen it has. It's going to equally try to fill all of them. So if you don't have enough nitrogen or enough water, for example, to fill out all of the grains, then all of them will be slightly smaller than they would be if you had full potential. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about how to manage your wheat during the season, because you can definitely manage what your fall versus spring tillers look like with nitrogen management and also with use of plant growth regulators if necessary.